They thought they'd be buyers in the NL Central. They thought they'd be a prominent team in the NL Central. And right now, they are not. Welcome everyone to the Monday edition of Fair Territory. Jam-packed show today. We had a very lively weekend to say the least, and we've got a big week ahead. So let's get right to it. The biggest story in baseball over the weekend, yes, the Dodgers, the two injuries. Mookie Betts with the wrist, Yamamoto with the rotator cuff, two huge losses, no question about it. These are two players with contracts worth a combined $690 million. Now, it's obviously bad news for the Dodgers. You never want to see any player get hurt. It's always disappointing. And I want to start with a tweet from the Washington Post's Chelsea Janes, who had a tweet, an emotion, a sentiment that kind of reflected what all of us are thinking. Chelsea said, "I'm only barely exaggerating when I say I will consider it a surprise if a single hard-throwing starter with a regular workload makes it through this season unscathed." She's absolutely right. Every pitcher, it seems, is getting hurt in one form or another. So Yamamoto is down. He had that huge start when he was throwing as hard as he has all season against the Yankees. Betts out as well. But here's the key thing, and Andy McCullough wrote about this today in The Athletic. Neither injury is season-ending. These guys are both going to come back, as far as we know right now. The Dodgers have an 8.5-game lead in the National League West. And in this day and age, with expanded playoffs, one, I think their lead is safe. Two, even if it wasn't, they've got the cushion of 3 wild cards. The Dodgers are going to be in the playoffs. They're most likely going to be in the playoffs as the National League West champion. And they're going to get Betts and Yamamoto back. So the losses are huge, and yet the losses at the same time are ones that the Dodgers should be able to overcome. But let's look at just what they are losing here, because Mookie Betts and Yoshinobu Yamamoto are two of the better players in the game. Mookie Betts' statistics for the season. He was on an MVP track because of his move to shortstop, his offensive prowess. You see it right there. Batting average 304, home runs 10, OPS 893. Yamamoto, let's take a look at him as well, because his stats were really good too. In his first season in Major League Baseball, 14 starts, 74 innings, averaging over a strikeout per inning with 84 strikeouts, just 17 walks, and a 2.92 ERA. Yes, big losses, no question about it. But again, remember, for the Dodgers, it's all about October. Now, another team that suffered a pitching injury over the weekend, but otherwise had a great weekend, would be the Baltimore Orioles. On Friday, they received the news that Kyle Bradish will be out again for an indeterminate period of time at this point. He's having elbow issues, and for the Orioles, this could not be more discouraging. If he needs to go on the IL again for a period of time, actually he is on the IL again for a period of time, then it's going to be quite a blow to what could be a great top 3 for them. Again, assuming he's out for a long period of time, I don't know that he's coming back. They've already lost 2 starting pitchers to season-ending elbow surgeries, Tyler Wells and John Means. They do not want to lose Bradish because with him, they've got a top 3 of Corbin Burnes, Grayson Rodriguez, and Bradish. That's a really good group. All that said, the Orioles had another big weekend. Potential World Series preview. We had one last weekend with the Dodgers and Yankees. Another one this week with the Orioles and Phillies. And the Orioles, in a lively atmosphere at Camden Yards, won 2 of 3. Great series for them. And I want to show you a comparison as they get ready for a potential American League Championship Series preview with the Yankees about the Orioles and the Yankees and where they are offensively, because this is a really interesting comparison. These two teams are the top home run hitting teams in Major League Baseball. The Orioles lead the majors with 114 home runs. The Yankees are second with 110. Now, generally speaking, when you have big home run hitting teams, they are high strikeout teams as well, but not in these particular cases. The Yankees are 18th in strikeout percentage. That's the 18th highest strikeout percentage in the game. That's good. They're not that high. And the Orioles are 21st. So these two offenses are quite dynamic. They're quite good. And it's really impressive to see what they've been doing. One sidelight to this series, and I know it's only a sidelight, but these two teams have two of the top four pitchers by ERA in the American League right now. And let's look at it. We were not going to see both of them in this series, but we're going to see one of them. Here they are. The top American League ERA leaders. These are the guys competing to start in the All-Star game right now, and it's a hot race. The ERA leader in the American League, Luis Gil of the Yankees, 2.03, followed by Tanner Houck of the Red Sox, 2.08, and then Corbin Burnes will not pitch against the Yankees, 2.14, Tariq Skubal and Seth Lugo after that. So the matchups for this series are quite interesting, and yet they don't include either of the Orioles' two best pitchers, Burnes and Grayson Rodriguez. We're going to see on Tuesday night, Albert Suarez versus Nestor Cortez Jr. This is in Yankee Stadium. Then on Wednesday, Cade Povich, he came over in the Jorge Lopez trade. He's going to face either Cody Petit or, making his return, his season debut, Garrett Cole. And then on Thursday, Cole Irvin against Luis Gil. That's a tremendous series coming up at Yankee Stadium. It's a litmus test of sorts. It's only June, I get it. But at the same time, it will be really interesting to see these two teams go against each other at this stage of the season. We've also got another series this week that is going to be another potential ALCS preview. It's the Mariners and the Guardians. Now, the Mariners are the team that not enough people are talking about, but should be. The Mariners, not the Orioles, not the Yankees, not the Dodgers, not the Phillies, not any other team. The Mariners have the biggest division lead of any team in baseball. Not just any team in the American League, not just any team in the National League. Biggest division lead, 8.5 games of any team. It's their biggest lead since the 2001 Mariners won 116 games. The biggest lead for that franchise. And let's take a look at the AL West standings because I want you to see this visual. It's really impressive how much of a cushion the Mariners have built. Here are the AL West standings, the top three teams. The Mariners, 43-31. The Rangers, 8.5 games back. The Astros, 7 straight appearances in the American League Championship Series. They are 9 games back. So, how are the Mariners doing this? Well, they've won 16 of 21. That's one pretty good, impressive run. More important, I would say, they're 17-5 against the AL West. And we all know they have a tremendous rotation. 4th in the majors in rotation ERA behind the Yankees, Orioles, and Phillies. And heading that rotation, actually, I shouldn't say heading. Among the great starters the Mariners rolling out right now is the guy who pitched yesterday, Logan Gilbert. You get Logan Gilbert 3 runs, he's winning, folks. They are 33-0 in his career when the Mariners score 3 or more runs in a game. That is really impressive, and it speaks to Logan Gilbert's ability just to win the games that he should. They've got Castillo, they've got Gilbert, they've got George Kirby, they've got Brian Wu, they got Bryce Miller. That is as good a 5 and as youthful a 5, Castillo is the oldest of that group, as you will see in Major League Baseball. And yes, that series against the Guardians will be another big one for sure. And here are the matchups for that series as we get ready for that one. It's running concurrently with Yankees, Orioles. Tuesday night, Tristan McKenzie versus Bryce Miller. Wednesday, Tanner Bybee versus Brian Wu. Brian Wu skipped a start. He's had various physical issues this year. And Logan Allen versus Castillo in the series finale. So, 2 great series in the American League on tap for this week. Yankees-Orioles, Guardians-Mariners. SeatGeek is the official ticket marketplace of Major League Baseball, so they have you covered for all of your baseball ticket needs. With over 28 million downloads, they're the #1 rated ticketing app. Baseball season is in full swing, as we all know, and you don't want to miss out. SeatGeek has your tickets to every game and, of course, concerts, festivals, and more. Every ticket is backed by their buyer guarantee, and SeatGeek is the only site that lets you return your tickets ahead of the event with swaps. Use our code FAIR, F-A-I-R, for $20 off tickets at SeatGeek. That's $20 off your first purchase with promo code FAIR. Make sure you click the link in the description to download the app. Time now for the Inside Dish. This is the part of the show where I go inside a story I've written or inside a trend in the game, or this week, for the first time, inside a comment I made on the previous Fair Territory. Yes, I want to talk about a question I answered from a listener, and it's an answer that I wasn't fully satisfied with, when the show was over. In fact, I really wasn't satisfied with it at all. The show was live, so there wasn't much I could do about it. We couldn't go back and tape it over. And when things are live, whether on television or on YouTube, whatever the case might be, sometimes you give an answer that you're not entirely happy with. So I want to try again talking about the future of Alex Cora, and this time give hopefully a better answer and give greater context to what I was trying to say. The question was at the time, okay, Ken, which team do you think Alex Cora will wind up with next year? Now, this is a hot topic, both in Boston and in the industry, and it's something that we're going to be discussing probably all season. Alex Cora is in the last year of his contract. So we've talked about how he could be this year's Craig Counsell, how a guy like him could be a hot free agent, and how teams with existing managers might even dismiss their manager to go get him. The Red Sox are having a really good season. Alex Cora is a really good manager. And when I say the Red Sox are having a really good season, I know they're only 2 games above 500, but they just won 2 of 3 from the Yankees, embarrassed them on Sunday Night Baseball. And they're doing this with all of these players out, Trevor Story and Tristan Casas and Lucas Giolito and Garrett Whitlock and on and on. It's one of Cora's finest showings so far, and he's had some pretty good teams in his past with the Red Sox. So this is an impressive show by him and only reinforces how good a manager he is. So, what are we talking about here? First thing we want to talk about is that Alex Cora is not the only manager who could be a hot free agent this offseason. I failed to mention, and I failed to give this context when answering the question Thursday, that Skip Schumaker of the Marlins could be just as hot a name. Well, maybe not quite as hot, but pretty hot. Skip Schumaker, as Bob Nightingale of USA Today reported earlier this season, had a negotiation with the Marlins during the offseason in which they agreed to void the option year on his contract. He will be, like Alex Cora, like Counsell a year ago, a free agent. He too will be a hot name. Now, with Alex Cora, one thing that I mentioned Thursday and I want to bring up again because it's important. He might not even want to manage next year. He is a guy that has talked a lot about his family in recent times, always actually. He's got a daughter who is finishing up her senior year at BC this coming year, that school year, and he has 2 twin 6-year-old sons. So while he wants to continue managing at some point, it's conceivable he could take a year off. It's conceivable that he could go to the front office. There are a number of ways that he can go. Now, when I was asked which teams might he go to, I listed 3. The Yankees, Dodgers, and Cardinals. And upon further review, I'm not happy with any of those teams as an answer. And here's why. The Yankees and Dodgers are 2 teams that the Astros played in 2017 in the postseason when Alex Cora was a member of the Astros coaching staff. And what happened in 2017? We all know what happened. The Astros were found later by Major League Baseball to have violated the rules and to have stolen signs electronically, illegally. And Alex Cora, as we reported in The Athletic, was a mastermind behind that whole scheme. So remember, the Astros beat the Yankees in the ALCS, they beat the Dodgers in the World Series, and selling Alex Cora to either of those fan bases might be a difficult thing to do. So there's a little bit of a flaw in that initial theory that I had. I'm not saying it's impossible, and I'm not saying it couldn't happen if, and again, this is a big if, the Yankees or Dodgers flame out and decide a managerial change is necessary. I'm not sure that would happen either, unless it was a big flame out. Remember, Aaron Boone in New York, Dave Roberts in Los Angeles, they're far more established than David Ross was last year with the Cubs. It's a different scenario. So even if the season does not end the way those teams want, there certainly is no guarantee that either team would make a change. Both of those managers, while they've taken criticism over the years, have done really good jobs. Boone, in particular, this year has a great team, and it's hard to see how the Yankees could turn away from him. Roberts, a little bit different. The Dodgers still trying to win the World Series, the first one in a full season since 1988, and they've had disappointment after disappointment in October, and now they have this star-studded team, albeit one with some significant injuries right now. Then there are the Cardinals. I listed them as well. Well, Alex Cora is not going to St. Louis as long as Chaim Bloom is there. And Chaim Bloom right now is in the Cardinals front office. They had worked together for a couple of years with the Red Sox. They didn't get along all that well. I can't imagine a Cardinals team with Chaim Bloom having any influence at all hiring Alex Cora. So, if it's not the Yankees, if it's not the Dodgers, if it's not the Cardinals, where might Alex Cora go? As I said when answering the question last Thursday, let's not rule out Boston. It's not out of the question that Alex Cora will leave Boston. And there's another team on the East Coast, which is important to Cora because it's closer to Puerto Rico, his home, than obviously a team like the Dodgers. That team on the East Coast is the Toronto Blue Jays. And we'll see how their season ends. And we'll see just what happens with John Schneider and that whole front office and the whole scenario there that we've spoken about a lot that is kind of up in the air. So Toronto, I guess, would be a possibility, though. Would you want to manage the Blue Jays over the Red Sox? I don't know. So all of this has to play out. And we're still going to see a lot of things happen this season. We're still going to see the Red Sox, how their season plays out, and all of these other teams that I mentioned, and see how that plays out. But I did want to give a better answer because I thought my answer was insufficient and really didn't give the entire picture and in some ways was inaccurate as well. So there you have it. There's my mea culpa, even though it wasn't like something I was really guilty of. I've done worse. But again, this is something I wanted to clarify. Time now for Grillin Ken, the part of the show where I answer your questions. Hopefully I'll give a better answer than I did last Thursday on that Alex Cora question. All right, here we go. First question this week comes from, this is great, a sad Seiya Suzuki enthusiast, Tyrese Proctor Stan. And this person asks, is it time for the Cubs to start panicking? Not a bad question. Why? Because the Cubs right now are 34-38, same record under Craig Counsell presently as they had under David Ross last year at this time. And more importantly, the Cubs are 8.5 games out of first place, 8.5 games behind the Brewers, in last place in the NL Central. In last place, 8.5 games behind the team that they stole the manager from. Wow. Actually, it wasn't a theft. Craig Counsell was a free agent. So the Cubs have had some injury issues, no question about it. Ben Brown of late, Jordan Wicks. But at the same time, they have not played the way we all thought they should play. They're 20th in the majors in runs scored, runs per game. That's not good. They have been, for the most part, of disappointment. They also have some injured relievers. I get it, and those guys are going to come back and supplement their bullpen. But yes, I don't know if panic is the right word, but they've got to be really concerned about where this season is going. They thought they'd be buyers in the NL Central. They thought they'd be a prominent team in the NL Central. And right now, they are not. For more on the Cubs, check out Northside Territory, hosted by my colleagues at The Athletic, Patrick Mooney and Sahadev Sharma. All right, next question. Let's see what this one is. This one comes from Tony Montalto, who asks, maybe a question more appropriate for another time, but the current CBA will expire before we know it. This is true. Is arbitration still really the best process to decide the salaries of players who are beyond their renewed salary years and not on a contract that already buys out ARB? Good question. And it is an appropriate question really at any time of year. Buster Olney wrote recently about Josh Hader and how his arbitration process with the Brewers led to his decision, if you want to call it that, to not pitch more than one inning while in his arbitration years. Both sides agree, the players and owners agree, that the arbitration system is flawed, it is not the best system, and at the same time, the players will continue fighting for it. And they will continue fighting for it because it enables them to negotiate their salaries in those years between third year of service and 6 years of service in a way that they could not negotiate if they were under some kind of formula, some kind of thing that MLB determined with the union to set their salaries based on whatever formula they're using. The players want that right to negotiate. Now, it's become more difficult for them to negotiate over the years. The teams now use this file and trial system where if you file numbers for arbitration, you go right to the hearing. That's kind of a difficult thing for players to overcome and to deal with at times. Yet at the same time, the players want this system. It does give them some flexibility in negotiating, and I don't see that changing, at least as far as their desires. Now, in a CBA negotiation, the CBA does expire in 2026. Anything can happen, but I don't see arbitration going away anytime soon. The final question, and this one comes from Broad Street Sufferer. How much can you be suffering watching the Phillies play this year? But anyway, he asks, or she asks, Major League or Bull Durham? Well, I love both movies, of course. Every baseball fan loves both movies. But I'm going to go with my favorite baseball movie to answer this question, Field of Dreams. Field of Dreams, to me, is a cut above anything. I know it's sappy and romantic and all that, but it gets me every time. Now, to the actual question, Major League or Bull Durham? Bull Durham is probably the better movie. I think we all might agree with that. But I love Major League. Major League, which actually plays out on a regular basis in Major League Baseball. We're seeing it in Oakland right now. That's one of the great, funny movies of all time. I want to thank everyone for their questions. Thank everyone for watching, for listening. You know where to find us by this point. YouTube, Apple, Spotify. And we'll be back Thursday with our regular Thursday show, myself and Alana Rizzo. Have a great week, everyone.
Once a day, you can play the free BetMGM Swing for the Fences game. Chance to win daily prizes. You play as the batter, you pick an area of the strike zone, and then you see what happens. And BetMGM Sportsbook account holders who play the game will have the opportunity to win a reward if they get a hit. Rewards include odds boost tokens, parlay boost tokens, and bonus bets, among other rewards. And all of those rewards, when you get them, expire in 24 hours.
Gambling problem or concern? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
Hey everybody, be sure to like and subscribe for more content. Fair Territory airs each week, and we'd love for you to become part of our community. Here's another video you might enjoy. See you next time.